Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday live stream. So a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right in. So first of all, just like title and thumbnail suggest, there is a little light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I can tell you yesterday, probably was a tough day for a lot of people, especially if you watched yesterday's live stream. But it was just to help you. You know, I don't know where things are going. I have a hunch of where things are going, but it was all just about saying, like, look, you have to make a decision. And you can't just keep floundering. You have to make a decision, move forward, and just go from there. I think a lot of you did, and that's why I think we're going to have less people on these streams, and that's fine. That's okay. It's just I needed people to make decisions, and it looks like they have. So let's just jump right into this. First of all, the government is awful. I think we can all agree to that. Unfortunately, we're kind of dependent on them to pass some rules and regulations. And one of these was this thing called a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which is supposed to be the best thing of all time. And of course, it became almost like a laughing stock and a joke. But because of that Bitcoin strategic reserve put out there, there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel about what we can do, how we can fund it, and how things can actually work. And I got to tell you, what Representative Warren Davidson out of Ohio just submitted is sizable. And I have to applaud him for what he is trying to do, and especially for the capital gains part. So just take a listen. This is about a minute or so about him sitting down over at Fox News and just talking about what this bill means and how big it could be. We're going to talk about that, and that's the only good thing for today. The rest of it's all awful. So if you just want to leave after this clip, I don't blame you. But take a listen to this, and then we'll be right back.
A series of questions here. Number one, what is a Bitcoin reserve? What does it do? And how do you build it?
Well, first of all, the president created a strategic reserve of Bitcoin in part because the United States government didn't have like a single custodian. You had every agency in the government that might have had an asset, seized an asset, or anything else, any kind of digital asset. They didn't have custody of it, so they were losing track of the private keys. So essentially, when you lose your keys, it's like losing a pile of cash.
Yeah.
So they created an organized way and put it under Treasury to say, hey, we're going to have a single custodian for all of the Bitcoin, kind of like Fort Knox for crypto, right? And then they said, well, not all crypto is created equally. Bitcoin we want to hold on to. It's an appreciating asset over a long period of time. Some of these other things, we should just sell them off and buy more Bitcoin. But they wanted to do it in a deficit neutral way. And I think a lot of people have been like, well, how else do you put money in there? And so we're introducing legislation that not only codifies that executive order, so there's a common sense way to have custody for the Bitcoin and other digital assets, but you can contribute. So when you pay your taxes, you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is currency in that sense, and there's no capital gains. So for people that have held Bitcoin for a long time, they've experienced significant capital gains. When I first took office in 2016, Bitcoin was $500 or $600. Now, over 90,000. It's reached higher.
Yeah, reach higher. That's an understatement. I want to play this part again because it's important. And I want you to take a look at the host's face when he talks about capital gains and paying taxes. Listen to this just one more time. Let me make sure I got this the right piece.
And they've experienced significant capital gains. When I first took office in 2016, Bitcoin was $500 or $600. Now,
Lost audio. But you get what I'm saying here. Essentially, what he is saying is the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, the BSR, it's great, it's fantastic. Unfortunately, because of what the government wants to do, they don't want to take money from essentially taxes that have already been paid. But here's the catch. If you want to, moving forward, pay any part of your government taxes in Bitcoin, you can do so. And if you pay your taxes to the federal government using Bitcoin, there are no capital gains. That means no long-term and no short-term capital gains. Wouldn't that be fantastic? If you hold Bitcoin and you have a massive amount of it, and you're like, you know what, I got a bunch of, back taxes that I have to pay, and you can use the Bitcoin, instead of, selling your Bitcoin, paying capital gains to get money, to then pay the government for other taxes that you owe, and then get double tax, essentially, you can wipe that away. and you can just pay for your capital or your federal taxes in that way. I think that's a pretty good thing. Moving forward, this sounds pretty great. And again, this is one of the sliver of hopiums that are out there. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Would you do that? Would you use your Bitcoin to pay taxes? I got to tell you, sounds pretty reasonable moving forward. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you'd like to leave, you probably want to, because it gets worse from here. So let's talk about the bad news. The bad news is that Owen Gundam, who we talked about I think about 2 weeks ago or so, where he sold $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin. Well, guess what? He just sold his remaining 230 million. So he's out, 100% gone. Now, this is from Arkham Intelligence, and it states Owen Gundam has now sold all of his 1.3 billion. He actually, no, that's not correct, because he sold 11,000 Bitcoin worth 1.3 billion, and then he just transferred 230 million of Bitcoin to Kraken, marking his final sale. So I guess it's 1.53 billion, but he's out. Now, he could have other wallets. Nobody knows. And no one knows if he transferred that Bitcoin to Kraken to buy a bunch of, Doge or something. No one knows. That sounds ridiculous. I know it probably is, but I just had to put that caveat in there. But if this is true, which is what they're implying, that he's going to sell all his Bitcoin, that means one of the oldest OGs to buy Bitcoin or to hold Bitcoin from 2011 is 100% out. So let that be a factor as you start to think to yourself, should I ever take profits? But again, it's everybody's personal journey about what they want to do and what they should do. So I say to Owen, congratulations. You held for as long as you possibly could, and now you want to make a better life for yourself and your family. Fantastic. So that's not looking good if you are subscribed to the theory of diamond handing. That doesn't happen. But here's where it also tumbles down. And I think most people have been talking about this because it's an interesting thing. I think we're around 85,000 per Bitcoin today. We've had quite a tumble. Also, the S&P 500 had a nice little pullback after NVIDIA posted some pretty impressive earnings. But those earnings, who knows what's going on behind the scenes. The only bad news that I could find is job reports. So according to a Fox News national survey, a 76% of voters rate this economy negatively. That's not looking good for El Presidente. But here's what we have, also bad news for jobs reports. So first of all, there was no jobs reports for October because the government was shut down. However, they got revisions for July, and they got revisions for August, and they got current ones for September. I guess it's as much as they can be, but they don't have anything for October because the government was shut down. So good news, the September report compiled by the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, found that employment in July and August was overstated by 33,000. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the bad news. Job creation in July was revised down by 7,000, which is not too bad. So there was a gain of 79,000. They took off 7,000, and the total was 72,000, which is, hey, you grew some jobs. However, job gains in August were lowered by 26,000 from a gain of 22,000 to a loss of 4,000. So I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do a survey or data collection. You go, you know what? We're up 26,000 or we're up 22,000. Oh, you know what? Whoopsie. We messed that up. It's actually negative 26,000. I got to get that job. That job and a weatherman are the one job or jobs you can be totally incorrect and still have your job. It's amazing. I don't know where you get that job. I'm going to get that. So anyhow, originally slated for release on October 3rd, the September jobs report was postponed amid the nation's longest government shutdown. According to the report, federal employment has declined by 97,000 since its January peak. So interesting, federal employment is down by almost 100,000, but it gets worse because the Bureau of Labor Statistics classified that workers on paid leave or are receiving a severance package because they got fired remain classified as employed. So even though federal employment has declined by 97,000, they're still not counting the severances or people on paid leave. Now, the people on paid leave, they might be coming back. But severance packages, they ain't coming back. That means that there is a big shift of a reduction in jobs as far as the US government, which I got to tell you, there's two ways to look at it. One is those are American citizens. So if they don't have jobs, they're going to be struggling. The other way to look at it is like, do we really need all these jobs in the government? It seems like we're so bloated as far as government goes. Do we need all these jobs? That was the whole point for Doge, but that's not for me to say. It's for the macro to hash out. But tracking the job growth since 2021, we can see that in 2021, we had, as far as non-farm payrolls, we were crushing it in 2021. Then, of course, March, we went a little bit down. These things happen. But then it seems like there was a degradation from January 2021. And it just kept kind of around 2022, the next year, it just started to go down, down, and down. 2023. And then into 2024, there's a little bit of numbers. And then it really didn't spike back up until around November 2024. Maybe that was because, I don't know, Trump got elected and people were super ecstatic. And then the next month it was pretty good, but then just went down again, down, down, down. Look at this. June, negative 13,000. July, 72, negative 4. And here we are for September, 119,000. But that will get revised as well. And who knows if it'll be negative or just paltry or just barely recognizable. So because of that, rate cuts are a 60-40 split, meaning rates are not probably going to be cut by the Federal Reserve meeting on 10th of December. So I told you that if that happens, the market is going to shudder. So maybe it's priced in now. I mean, I know people love to say that, but there's always a dip to a dip. So when Jerome comes out and says, hey, guess what? We're going to just stay the course because the data didn't come in or the data was revised and it was not as awful as it was or whatever his reason is, 60% of the time or 60% of people are saying they're not going to cut. They're just going to stay and do nothing. And if that happens, when you get the news, the market will drop even more so. So there's that to watch out for. Good luck. Also, bad news. Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, is touting ETH-backed loans are now on Coinbase. You can use your ETH as collateral to borrow USDC. And this is from today. If you believe in something, this one's for you. ETH-backed loans are here. Side note, you don't want to do that. All these loans that you see right here, these are the things that actually hurt us in the last bull market. And we're not in a bull. Me personally, we're in a bear. So if you think that things are going to keep going up, I mean, have fun with the loans. But what'll happen usually is that you'll have to over-collateralize that loan. And as the numbers go down and the valuation of your Ethereum goes down, you're going to have to re-collateralize or over-collateralize those loans. And if you don't have it, they're going to liquidate you. And when they liquidate you, that's a taxable event. So you think your life's bad now? Just wait till you get liquidated for a loan that just kept going down. And oh yeah, you're going to owe cap gains, whether that be 20, long-term or short-term, 20, 30, 36%, depending on what you want to do. So Coinbase, probably a horrible timing for you. Anyhow, lastly, hey, we're at 87,000. I thought we were at 85,000. Well, now I feel better. But unfortunately, just so you guys know, I'm sure you do, our market cap was 4.2 trillion on October 6th, and now it's almost probably going to go below 3 trillion. We have lost $1.2 trillion in 45 days. And I still think it's going to go lower, but we'll see what happens. I don't expect it to go below 69K. You know my reasons why. But we'll see how far it goes. So I know people are saying, well, buy the dip, buy the dip. I would pick and choose my positions. I mean, I bought, but I can't give you financial advice, but I would really think about buying every single dip on every single day because I think it's going to go much lower. But do what you want to do, and we go from there. And then last, well, actually not last, there's two more things to go over. I just wanted to show you this. Bitcoin percentage drawdown from its all-time high. And people were saying, you know, hey, this is awful. It's not that awful. I mean, the last blow off top years in 2017, this was our drawdowns. In the bear markets, we go down 80%, 81%, 68%, 63%. What is this? 19th of July, 2021. That was the last bull market. You know, we went down almost 50%, and it was like 63,000. Then it rebounded. And then, of course, we came back in January 2022 and went down another 50%. But look at this. I just want to show you this. I found it interesting that as far as drawdowns go, look at this. In September of 2024, we went down 26%. And then in 8th of April, we went down 28%. So 26%, 28%. And then look at this. Today, we're down 30%. So we went 26%, 28%, and 30%. And I could see it go down 40%. We'll see what happens. And then lastly, more bad news. If you have WhatsApp, don't upgrade it or do anything with it. Apparently, there's a WhatsApp worm, some kind of hack, some kind of malicious code is spreading in Brazil and infecting phones with the Eternidade Stealer Trojan. So if it's over there, it's probably going to make it globally, which steals access to crypto wallets and banking apps. So I guess that's the good news, is that it'll screw up banking apps and crypto wallets. So if you do anything with WhatsApp like I do, don't download anything and don't update anything until you hear that this thing's actually gone away. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, which I got to tell you was much more upbeat than yesterday's, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. That's it for this one. Now let's get into a little Q&A, and we'll all hash it out and tell our war stories. All right. Pirate Justin says, how the F does it do that exactly? If we're talking about the malicious software, I have no idea. I am not a coder. I don't know how these things work. I just know that every time that somebody downloads something or goes to a malicious website or pretty much just does anything that they're subjugated to like do an update on something, it always screws everything up. So I'm really leery about doing anything these days on that. What I would do, this works out pretty well, is if you get a link for WhatsApp, or if you're in the app and it says to update it from here, take a screenshot, put it in a ChatGPT or Grok, and just say, hey, is this a scam? If you get some kind of unknown text message, take a screenshot, send it into ChatGPT. Is this a scam? If you get an email, take a screenshot, put it into ChatGPT or Grok, and it'll tell you. And it's really good as far as like telling you like, hey, this is a scam. It works out quite great. So everything's a scam until proven otherwise. Let Grok and ChatGPT do the heavy lifting. At least they could help us out because they're stealing all our jobs anyhow. All right. Mary says, I keep my tech footprint as minimal as possible. That's good, Mary. Smart. And D.S says, retail doesn't have money. People are struggling. This is the thing. Well, first of all, D.S-V1C is 100% correct. We are really struggling. But do you know how much money is sloshing around in the world? Like retail, people that make less than 150,000, 100,000, 75,000, 50,000, whatever it is, right? Yes, those people are hurting. However, for these markets and the things that are going on, there's so much funds that are out there that there's no reason why they shouldn't find their way into these different equities, into these different assets. And like I've shown this before, I wish they would update this so I could show something better. Every one of these little squares is $100 billion. And this is from 2022, so you know it's gone up. Let's see. Military spending, 2.1 trillion. Is that all? Okay, that's for everybody. US, China, and everyone else. Well, US is the US. Gold, it says 11.5 trillion. That's totally incorrect. That's over 20 trillion now. World's billionaires have 12 trillion. That's even more incorrect. I think it's over 25 trillion now. Central bank balance sheets. How much is this? 28 trillion. The The S&P 500, $36 trillion. It's like 48 trillion now. And then what else? Money supply, it's over 109 trillion. Global stock markets, this one's another, which one is this? Oh, hold on. It's 38, it's like 59 trillion. Global debt is 300 trillion. Global real estate is now $500 trillion. Just take a look at this. There is no reason why that money that is over here, that is not in the hands of people who make $150,000 or less. I get you, there's a lot of people. But as far as like real estate, there's a lot of people that are in the 1%, the top 5%, the top 10%, that are into derivatives and swaps and options. That's not retail, not for the most part. There's money out there, just hasn't found its way here. And I don't understand why, quite honestly. Anyhow, we'll see. Hello? Gonna start DCAing. Not a bad choice. Yeah, Kai Rob, does this mean you aren't going anywhere anytime soon? So the idea was to exit in the bull market when I was laddering out and selling. And we would take a look at these different, I gotta tell you, it's a funny thing. We would take a look at these indicators, right? One of the big indicators was from, I'll show you. That's not it. CoinGlass. And we were taking a look at these because they've always fired, but not one of these indicators fired. It was quite interesting. And in my previous bull run, I just made price predictions. And I said, okay, I think that Bitcoin's going to 150K. So I'll ladder out. So I laddered out at like 50K and then 60K. And the next one was 80K, which never came. This was in 2021. Ethereum, I thought it would go to 10,000. So I laddered out at 2,500 and 3,500. And then, of course, the rest didn't come. And then my best one was Cardano. I just thought it would go to $3, and it did go to $3. Unfortunately, I got greedy and didn't take as many laddered out profits I did. So the idea this time was to use the indicators like everybody talks about and how great they are, and use those to ladder out. Well, it didn't work out for me. That's okay. I sold some along the way. Thankfully, I had, like I said, like a really good real estate deal. It worked out great. But I should have sold more and I didn't, and that's on me. But the idea was to sell, do videos on what I'm selling, say adios everybody, it's been fun, then come back in the bear market. Somehow I skipped, not somehow, I know how it is, it was me. I didn't sell as much as I was supposed to because I was relying on some indicators that never popped off. And they might pop off at the end of December, I don't know. Maybe Q1 or Q2, who knows? But if it doesn't, we'll see. And the idea was to come back in the bear market. That's not happening because I didn't leave. And that's where it is. One thing that I keep thinking about is that I remember in December of 2021, when we had another pullback from the 67,000 line. And I was looking at it going, there's no way that the top was 67,000 because everybody and their grandmother was telling me it's going to be 100, 150K. Didn't happen. So I just remember that time and I remember now. And now when I look back, I'm like, you're telling me that 126,000 was the top on October 6th? I believe it. I believe it could be because I was in this much disbelief before. So now nothing surprises me. So I'm like, yeah, maybe that was it. And if that is it, this is the funny thing. If that was it, October 6th, the 4-year cycles are intact. For as much as people talk about how, it has to do with the business cycle, and it has to do with M2 money supply, and it has to do with all these indicators, all of them are wrong. Only time will tell. It'll be interesting times. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm just saying it will be interesting to see how that comes out. And Real Raid Boss says, when Rob pulls out this matrix in the DCA simulator, I start crying. Oh, yeah. That chart didn't show when NVIDIA and its most valuable company in the world. Yeah. There's some there's some discrepancies with NVIDIA. There was a good post, I wrote it, but they're very concerned not about what Michael Burry is concerned about the chips, the degradation over 2 to 3 years instead of like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, but just the amount of revenue that's actually being produced and what is actually being paid to NVIDIA and the payments that are being made to the other AI companies as this big conglomerate of these different companies benefiting from just 5-card Monty. I don't know. We'll see if it collapses. If it does, we'll see. Does Ben still have a chair? I think Ben is doing just fine. NVIDIA is 5 trillion. There it is, 5 trillion. Very nice. This has been an interesting cycle. That's true. Bitcoin 88K. Look, there we go. We're so back. No, I don't. Master Blaster is right. Buy assets, land, houses, condo. Get off the rental scam. There's some people will say that, renting is not a bad idea because you can save. I mean, if you look at it, as far as like with taxes and then maintenance and then improvements and then utilities and everything, when you rent, you kind of sidestep that, but it only lasts for so much time because people like me who own the houses, at some point we have to offload those prices or offload that debt, that burden to our tenants. So if the taxes go up, I can eat it for only so long, but then guess what? I got to pass it to you. And it's up to you as a tenant to say, this is too expensive, or you stick around. One of the things that I always like about real estate is that it's a constant cash flow. I don't care what happens in the world. I don't care if we get another pandemic. People are still going to need a place to live. And that's pretty much how it goes. So you might not be able to charge what you want to charge, but the cash flow will still keep coming in. And that's the beauty of real estate. Even though a lot of people have really not been a big fan as they've pivoted, I got to tell you, it's very refreshing just to know that, hey, maybe these crypto bags went down 40, 50%, but at least that cash flow keeps coming in. Not too bad. Daddy, I'm scared. There's nothing to be scared of. The only thing to fear is fear itself. And this too shall pass. Look, all this stuff is, I know people are sick of hearing this, but it's the same thing happening over and over again. All you gotta do is stick around. Just repeat after me. I will figure it out. That's all you have to say. I will figure it out. So you got problems right now because your portfolio is down? I'll figure it out. You got problems because you can't make ends meet? I'll figure it out. You got problems because the cash that was in your bank account, you have to go to different aspects and bills and you're left really short or you can't pay things? You'll figure it out. That's how it's going to be. And just like with these markets, I mean, I'm old, so I've been around the block enough times to know that these things just repeat and repeat and repeat. All you got to do is stick around. And Muhammad says, Rob, is there any justification based on your knowledge behind this drop? No. People will say, well, it's manipulation. And these ETFs these institutions are waiting for their friends to come in. They've had enough time. I don't really think it's massive manipulation. Is there manipulation in the market? There's manipulation in the gold market. Go talk to Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan when he spoofs gold. Of course it happens. It happens all the time. But the question is, what is the level of manipulation that's going on in the market? I can't really tell you for sure. I can tell you that October 10th seemed to be heavily manipulated, but that is what it is, which led to essentially the greater losses. But as far as today, the job numbers and the rates, it seems like everybody's so skittish and scared that the entire market will collapse because of this AI bubble. And when NVIDIA comes out with those great earnings, everybody's super excited after hours. But then everybody digs to the numbers and hey, wait a second, where's this revenue coming from? How much have you guys actually charged? How much have you actually received? Where is the stopgap? And then things start to get a little bit more murky, and then people get scared again and they sell off. I'm sure someone's going to come out with a reason tomorrow. Oh, it was because of, somebody fell down and sold all their crypto. I don't know. There'll always be a reason. Yeah. If it's too good to be true, it usually is. The Pi cycle top indicator is too easy. We all be rich to time it. It was right last year. I mean, pretty close. It just didn't hit this year. Ben's chair is here. Yen carry trade is why we're going down. Yes. I second that. Sounds good. I'm hopping because of tariffs. We're 2 months behind. Maybe. Buy hard assets. I'm going all in. Sub-zero. Wait. Let's say that you go all in today, right? And let's say that the 4-year cycles are intact somehow, some way. And that Q1, Q2 business cycle doesn't happen. And we keep having a nice long drag down. Did you know that for the 2013 and 2015 cycle was 85% drop? 2017, 2018, it was 83%, 85, 83. And then from the 2021, 2022 is 77% drop. And that usually took around 1 year. So if you're going to go on all in today, you can, but what if it keeps bleeding from October 6, 2025 to October 6, 2026? Maybe you could value cost average. This is just an option. Let's say that Sub-Zero's got 10 grand. He's like, F it, going all in. He puts 10 grand into Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes down another 30%. Damn it. I should have waited. I should have done something. Value cost averaging. How about you take that 10,000, split it up into 4 tranches? Okay, I'm putting $2,500 in today. If it goes down 10%, I'll put another $2,500 in. Goes down to whatever it is, 78,000. Okay, down to 10,000. If it goes down to 10%, okay, now it's 70,000, 10,000. Okay, now it's 60,000, 10,000. Okay, I'm all dipped out. It goes to 40,000. Well, so what? Because at least I didn't dump it all in at 87K. I went to 80, 76, whatever it was. So it's just an option, something to look at. Or you just dollar cost average again, $100 every day, $500, $10,000 every day. I don't know. Well, maybe $1,000 every week. Let's see. Yeah. Your health is your wealth. Don't get sick, people. It's true. Judy, what do you think? Hey. See? Green screen. Told you. All right. Buy Tesla. What else do we have? Doggo. That dog doesn't need luck. That dog lives the sweet life. He has his own butler, his own cook, his own chef, gets a personal trainer, and sleeps all day. If you really want financial advice, follow that dog on Twitter. And they have all those things, and I don't have any of things. Hey, Rob, I'm going to attempt to move to Puerto Rico for tax reasons. Did you use the service? Worth it? Andrew, do a search for Digital Asset News Puerto Rico, and I show you there's 2 services that you can look for. One is like a white glove service, very expensive, would not recommend it. But if you're like a baller, go for that one. The other one is my friend Jaime, who was a lawyer, and he can help you out for like way, way less money. And, because he's lived there his entire life, he'll set you up through Act 60. And then also, if you're looking for an agent, I got a personal friend who's really good with finding residential. And then for commercial, Vault's got another one. So it's all right there for you. And I'd love to have you in Puerto Rico. And bonus points if you do any kind of construction. If you do any kind of plumbing, electrician, concrete work, I'll hire you myself. Let's see. Today, I felt like a UFC fight. I got TK'd. But you got back up. That's all that matters. BitBoy needs a wellness check. Yeah, that's, you know, we talk about health is wealth. It's not just, you know, physical health, it's mental wealth. And BitBoy is, I think, has some problems. And hopefully he makes it. I mean, especially for the kids. It's a shame. Yeah, life is good. Life is good. Hopefully I get reincarnated as a dog. I mean, a dog in America, not like, you know, a dog in Korea or something like that. But yeah. Yeah. Jimmy says also PR Relocate is good for relocation. They do good stuff too. It's very true. Buy the dip all day, then lose at night. Yeah. Hardwired says no Bitcoiners. No, I think most of us are mostly, I'm mostly a Bitcoiner. I'm like an 80% Bitcoiner and a 20% gambler. Essentially, that's what it is. Santanic says, how will the next cycle be? Hey, man, I'm just hoping to get this cycle right. And obviously I didn't do it. So I'm not the guy to ask. But if, you know, October 6th was the high, at least we got one thing right. The 4-year cycles are intact. So that would be pretty amazing. Wouldn't that be amazing, though, if October 6th was the high? Because we have all this good news and all these positive things happening on the background. We're getting rate cuts. We're going to stall in December. Got it. Quantitative tightening is ending December 1st. Quantitative easing, then, of course, putting things on the balance sheet and printing money is right around the corner. The M2 money supply continues to grow and is massive. I mean, so we have these things, but there's some problems. And the problem is that the economy is, I think, sicker than what we think it is. Jobs reports are coming out and it's looking pretty bad. Ever since 2022, we've been losing jobs thanks to, I think, AI, but there's other factors that go into play. And then with tariffs that Trump wants to do. He wants to do this. I think it's just going to take time to, if he wants to reshore everything, you're talking years. So it's, we're stuck in a tight situation. So we'll see. Let's see. Thoughts on developments on the Bitcoin forks. You know, I don't know what's going on with knots and core, but it just seems like it's a problem, and it's a huge problem, and hopefully the right one wins. I'm not well versed in both sides. I just know that a fork is not the way to go. Hopefully there's a good resolution, because forks are, it makes the markets even more skittish than what they are right now. But imagine that. I don't want to go through that. So hopefully we can figure out if, you know, NFTs are really a thing and should be a thing on Bitcoin, on the blockchain itself. I personally don't think that we need them. I think that a store of value or a peer-to-peer transaction is just fine. I don't need to put art and pictures and God knows what other kind of like degenerate type of images that you can put into the Bitcoin blockchain because that you allow it and because that you increase the size. I just not a big fan of that. Just keep it. It's like a business. If you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. Just pick your niche, make sure you're the 100% the best at it, and just keep doing that thing. And Bitcoin is the soundest money that's out there. And as far as like gold 2.0 and store of value, it is the best possible thing that we can possibly have in the digital era. So just stick with that. Peer-to-peer transactions, all right, I'll give you a leeway. It's working out pretty good for Square, Jack Dorsey, and Cash App. But all this other stuff, come on. Do we really need to be, you know, DeFi 2.0 for Bitcoin? Just stop. We don't need to be everything. We can't be everything to everybody. Just make Bitcoin great again. Hey, that's a t-shirt waiting to happen. All right. Copium Road, it's a never-ending fight. Yeah, I know. Who the F looks what messages are put in the Bitcoin blockchains? There's some people out there. They do it. Adam back, a Bitcoin maxi is pro core. Yeah, I got it. Don't F up Bitcoin. What do you think about Liberty Financial? I think that the optics of the president's sons essentially getting into this market was a disaster. Why couldn't they just been like, you know, Joe Biden's son and just, you know, under the table, just got a bunch of kickbacks and bribes? That's what America's built on. Bribery and the sleaziness of of politicians and their constituents and their kids, and just allowing these things to happen. And we don't see it. So that's the beauty of it. You know, we didn't see it, so we didn't really care too much about it. The problem with Trump and his kids is that they see it all the time, and it's covered 24/7. And unfortunately, you know, that's bad for the image, it's bad for crypto, it's bad for everybody. Again, if we could just be like Joe Biden's son, just have the nepotism and just have him do his thing over there. I know in the comments people are going to say, well, he did this and this. Okay, sure. Let's see. Just tune in. So what's the glimmer? It looks like Warren Davidson is, he put out a bill where you'll be able to pay for your taxes, and that crypto or that Bitcoin only, will be going to the Bitcoin Future Reserve, and you can use Bitcoin and pay your taxes, and there's no capital gains. So Warren Davidson knocked it out of the park on that one. Let's see if that happens. That's the one glimmer. Wasn't that great of a glimmer? It was a glimmer. I agree with your sentiment. What about the tech? What about the tech? That's the only reason I'm here, for the tech. Just kidding. I couldn't say it with a straight face. Hunter Biden, that's it. Would love to be Biden's son. I met Hunter 2 years ago. I told him it was nice to see him with his trousers on. He ignored me. It's pretty funny. Yeah, Barron Trump. And yeah, the Trump clan touching Bitcoin is bad only for me. If they just would have been like everybody else, just say, hey, you know, we like Bitcoin, we bought and hold it. Great. That'd be awesome. But no, now we're going to own some companies, and we're going to make a meme coin, and it's going to be under false pretenses, and there's a lot of discrepancies behind the scenes. You know, and then World Liberty Financial, and of course the pardon to CZ Binance, and the money that was put back and forth. Yeah, not great. Not a great look. Yeah, read the white paper. Yeah, the white paper, essentially, peer-to-peer transactions. That's what it was. Billish Bob says, I'll keep giving them their fiat trash back. Yeah. But you know, let's say you owe $100,000 in taxes, right? And no, what's the price today for Bitcoin? You owe $88,000 in taxes, okay? And you've got $88,000 in cash, and you got one Bitcoin. But the Bitcoin that you bought it when it was only 10,000. So you owe capital gains tax on $78,000. So you could just say, I'm not giving you my Bitcoin, I'm giving you this cash. Or you could give Bitcoin to the government and just say, hey, there's no capital gains in this, right? Great. So there you go. The cash that you had for the taxes, you take that cash and buy Bitcoin. Now your cost basis is $88,000. If that's how it was explained to me by Warren Davidson, that minute and a half clip, I'm sure there's nuances to it. That's how I would do it. We'll see. Yeah. Biden pardoned Ross and made a plea deal with Assange. That's all that mattered. Did Biden pardon Ross? Hold on. No, Donald Trump pardoned Ross. Correct me in the comment section. And as far as like who made a deal, I don't know who made a deal with Assange. Yeah, Trump pardoned Ross. Trump pardoned, no, it was Trump. Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. Well, that was fun. Look, a little bit better day to day, right? As far as like live streams go, not so much venom. That's it for today. So look, like today's video, thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about it's time sensitive. I think over the next I think November shot. So like we talked about yesterday, make your decision now. I don't think we're going to see much of a recourse until December. And if we don't get a rate cut in December 10th, which looks like we're not, expect the market to go down even further, even though people will say it's priced in. Every time there is news on the rate cuts, even though people say it's all priced in, there's always that next 10, 20% that's like, you know what? I didn't like this and I'm going to sell. That's it for today. Thanks much, everybody, for hanging out with me for 45 minutes. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Adios.